This is me and Addie. Addie stands for All the Things I Enjoy. This is a time-lapse of my painting of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I use this hack I got from watching Robin's Sealark. If you want realistic paintings, you can print them out, chalk the back, and trace it on for a guide. This is the reference I used. My printer wasn't the best quality, so I looked at the original reference on my computer for details. For her body, I used a different image reference, which I can include the links to. I googled body proportions, so based on the head size, I estimated where her elbow and hand would fall. I semi-shaded all the parts that I knew would be the shadows. I used a regular 7.0 mechanical pencil to sketch it out. To be honest, I should have spent more time in putting details into the sketch because later I ended up redoing some of it because the sketch underneath was so rough. I decided on pink because Ruth Bader Ginsburg fought a lot for women's rights. Pink can represent any gender, but it's my art and I feel a strong sense of femininity with pink. RBG is actually the 5th painting of my series of women who don't give a fuck. The first 4 are Princess Mononoke, Hermione from Harry Potter, Wonder Woman, and the landlady from Kung Fu Hustle. When I painted these first 4, I didn't know about the chalk trick, so a lot of the facial structure is not as accurate. I plan on going back to rework them. What inspired my project was an Instagram ad of a panel of superhero men. I thought, okay, I guess that's cool, but it would be even more dope with women. So I figured I could just make it myself. I started out with the eyes because they're my favorite thing to paint. I also did the face because it's usually the part I avoid the most, so I just wanted to get it over with. I wouldn't call myself a professional painter. I rarely paint and only paint when I'm in the mood. Though I do plan on doing it more often. RBG is an inspiration to me because I feel like in life, there's going to be people who constantly tell you no, you can't. You're not good enough. You don't deserve it. Sometimes that person is even you that's saying it. And you've got 2 choices. You can succumb to those measly words and believe it, or you can say, screw you, I'll show you. RBG constantly said screw you to a world that was unequal. She was the 2nd woman to be a Supreme Court justice. In her class of 500 at Harvard, she was one of 9 women. She also balanced going to school and being a mother. And when her husband had cancer, she went to his classes for him to help him take notes on top of everything she was already doing. Not only did she continually break barriers for herself, but she went a step further and opened the door for others. She changed our world by changing the laws that govern our country so that us women could be treated as equal as men. RBG didn't just fight for women, she fought for equality. She argued against a provision in the Social Security Act that denied widowed fathers benefits that was allowed for widowed mothers. My point is that even though she is a known champion for women's rights, she always fought for equality. I owe it to Ruth Bader Ginsburg for all the opportunities that I have today. This collar took me forever, and that's because I was striving for perfection. I wanted this to match the reference photo exactly. I had to tell myself, perfection is the enemy of progress, which is something I have to remind myself constantly when I do projects. I have to stop and sit with the idea that it's not gonna be my perfect. Then I have to suck it up and decide to move on. And that's when I started painting faster, and as long as I got the essence of the collar and the sense of it, everything was going to be okay. Here I started trying a painting technique I've been seeing on YouTube. I think it's called glazing. I'm not sure. I added water so the color wasn't so saturated when I added paint to the canvas. I think it worked out really well, and I could blend my colors a lot better. I like to imagine that she is in this 3-dimensional world inside my 2-dimensional painting. And I think about the physical shapes, such as her cheekbones causing maybe a small shadow underneath, or the highlights on the Cupid's bow. I used to really dislike acrylic, but now I learned that I can blend without too much trouble. I'm starting to enjoy it more.
She spoke, not elegantly, but with unmistakable clarity. She said, "I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks." Sex, like race, is a visible, immutable characteristic bearing no necessary relationship to ability. Sex, like race, has been made the basis for unjustified, or at least unproved assumptions concerning an individual's potential to perform or to contribute to society. These distinctions have a common effect. They help keep woman in her place, a place inferior to that occupied by men in our society. A French observer of early America, Alexis de Tocqueville, wrote that the greatness of America lies not in being more enlightened than other nations, but rather in her ability to repair her faults. Through amendments to our Constitution and court decisions applying those amendments, we abolished slavery, prohibited racial discrimination, and made men and women people of equal citizenship stature. In the vanguard of those perfections were people just like you, new Americans of every race and creed, making ever more vibrant our national motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Though we have made huge progress, the work of perfection is scarcely done.
So as I was watching my time lapses, a lot of the exposure kept going in and out, which was really annoying. So I decided to build this rig so I could use my Canon 7D to control the exposure, which is kind of ghetto, but I'm very proud of it. And so now everything is going to be perfect and professional.
If you want to be a true professional, you will do something outside yourself, something to repair tears in your community, something to make life a little better for people less fortunate than you. That's what I think a meaningful life is. One lives not just for oneself, but for one's community.
This painting took me a total of 7 days, but each day I would only do an hour or so. In totality, it took me about 15 hours, but like I said, I'm not a pro, so I do a lot of fixing. If you have time and you want to learn more about her, you should watch some of the movies that were made about her. The one that I really enjoyed was the documentary called RBG. Watching the completion of this video makes me excited for my next one. Who are some of the women that you admire that just don't give a fuck?